Are we live? What's good, great people? I am Ezel Moon, and I have a special guest in the building today. Joining me is Cleveland Robinson. He's a therapist. You guys, this should be an amazing conversation. I don't got much to say. Intro. All right. How Doggy Dog, how you feeling?
All right, good to see you, man. Feeling great.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. It's an absolute honor to have you on here. I definitely want to make sure I publicly give you your flowers for what you did at Broga. That was awesome. You dropped a lot of knowledge and a lot of gems that I personally felt like, the broader audience masses needed to hear from you.
Sure.
But before we even jump into that, first and foremost, 2 words: thank you.
Definitely. Thanks, bro. Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity, man. It's a good environment at Broker, man. I've been telling a lot of people about it for sure. It was a great environment for
Yeah,
real.
yeah, man. Literally creating a safe space for people to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna try this yoga thing, and I'm not gonna feel emasculated by the fact that we're doing this. I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of people that reached out and said, "Oh, this seems like this is a pretty good event."
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
but prior to, when I'm telling people, "Hey, you should come, you should come, you should come," they're like, "Well, and there are certain words that were used to describe the type of atmosphere that they felt that it would be. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah,
And I was like, no, it ain't that. I promise you, it's going to be something that would be amazing for you and those who you are connected to experience. But so shall it be. They're gonna have to catch the next one.
catch the next one.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sir. I want to start off by getting into you and what it is that you do. Go ahead, please let us know, your about who you are, and your philosophy on therapy.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much once again. Appreciate it. Glad we got through some of the snafus. Sorry, Bree. I'll make sure it's better. um, but yeah, man. I'm happy to be here. Uh, my moniker always is real therapy from your real soul ambassador, man. I uh focus on therapy, wellness, and creativity. Those are my focuses. And so I've been a creative actually my whole life before I even discovered anything else. But so much of my time now goes into people wellness as a licensed therapist, that there are times when I get off balance. And so you'll see way more creative arts coming soon. And I've worked at it, but I've been blessed to now have a direction where, we can fuse everything together. Art, wellness. Definitely glad, like you said, to go to the yoga piece. I do meditation now, which I need to kind of begin to get to the next level in. And I want, yoga at some form to be at least be a part of that. So I was happy to really come to that event, because I think it'll assist me with building my yoga, my meditation levels. And so, man, wellness and creativity. That's what our focus is. Wellness and creativity. We down here in Dallas, Texas. It's where the business is based. I'm virtual. I do have a small agency, which I'm really proud of that it's grown. Um, as a therapist, we're helping families. I specialize in kids. It's actually my specialty. And when I meet people, it's funny. Folk automatically say, you work with men, don't you? You work with men, don't you?
Right.
And I say, I do, but actually my specialty is kids. So I think people just assume that about me by default. Um, but kids, bro, kids. That's my passion actually, making sure they start their mental health on a healthy journey.
It's interesting that you say that, right? Because it seems as if within across all communities, the mental health of children isn't really held to as high a regard that I feel like it should be.
Not at all.
Um,
Not at all.
it's it's like it's real easy to scar a child for life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of deep wounds that we hold that literally are from when we were kids.
Period. Shapes the
But
entire way we move.
like it's like, yo, like, you know, if we grew up in healthy environments where we were able to thrive and, you know, be ourselves and cry when we needed to, you know, I'm pretty sure, you know, a little bit more healthier adults, you know. But
The world will
hey,
look different, man. The world will look different. I'm for
absolutely.
real.
Absolutely. And that's kind of why I really kind of watch the way I interact with my own son. You know, he's 4, and I try my absolute hardest to, you know, to not ever like make him feel as if he isn't valued. You know, the times where can you ever recall a time where when you in your youth when you were growing up where you felt like, hey man, I was not valued like I needed to be, and how it impacted you now, or were you always good inside of your household?
Coming up in a single parent household,
Mhm.
I had a mother who was career driven.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of my enrichment was career.
Hmm.
It wasn't so much about value, it was more so about feeling as if I'm missing the mark when you're
Hmm.
in a high achievement household.
Yeah.
And so that actually faces me now. You know,
Yeah.
I always feel like underdog. I envy people. I got some homeboys, they've always had a winning attitude. And they feel like winners. I never feel like a winner. I've always been very transparent about that. I always felt like I got to come into the game as an underdog and work harder for everything else.
Sure.
Always.
It seems like.
Versus, mhm,
Oh
mhm.
my bad. Go ahead.
Versus, guys who, or people in general who like have that winner's mentality. So they go into the situation saying, "Hey man, I'm coming here for the championship." You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm coming there, man, I'm finna compete. Like I'm finna get this chip. I hope, but if I don't win, you finna know I was here. And it's a real underdog approach that actually doesn't always serve you the best. That's my personal opinion. When I really have done a lot of reflection, and the reason why I said always serve you the best is because sometimes you need to move as if you're supposed to be there.
Dang.
That's why they always serve you.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand, dog. I understand a great deal of what you said. I grew up in a household where, you know, high achievement was very much necessary. You know, as part of the reason why, even when I've recognized, you know, the life path, the journey that I want to walk, I still feel as if I am not complete unless I do something at the top level when it comes to education. I'm literally almost done with my doctorate degree, but I know for a fact that I want to do these interviews for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Like, what is like, you know? But it's interesting, right? Because it seems like there's a lot of guilt there, and there's a lot of shame. Like even in those moments where, you know, when we at Brogan we were talking about depression, even in the moments where we have our darkest moments, and, you know, we want to be away from everything and everyone, I find myself still continuing to like do some type of work, you know, like
Yeah,
something
you
that like
can't stop. It's an
you
engine.
can't stop, right?
Hmm.
Like, so what about for yourself, you know? I know you're a therapist, so but you know, in your most human of moments, when you take away the knowledge that you have, and, you know, you are just you alone dealing with yourself, you know, do you still deal with these same that same guilt, that same shame?
On a regular basis. That's the issue. It's a fight. And what I have to tell a lot of clients that come to me, especially my adult clients, is, our parents did the best they could with
Right.
with the skills they had.
Right.
And when we get older and we know a little bit better, especially in this time right now where self-improvement is being pushed on a greater scale, it's easier for us to have the access to being more mentally healthy, um, doing self introspection. Remember, these aren't regular things that were done, especially in Black households. And so the fact that we're doing it now, man, is a help. So for me, it's always the fight for that balance on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like you. I love being an entrepreneur. Um, you know, I love the work that I do with the hospital as well, working with children just as much. Um, but it never feels enough. So I fight that as well. We call it imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's therapists, and it's kind of a widely used term now in some ways. But I will say that you do have to get to a point where you can pat yourself on the back and say, you're good, you've made it somewhere. Because if you don't do that, you will spend the rest of your life trying to one up yourself. It's an actual battle that you can't win.
Mm. That that's messed up. There's no other words for it. That's messed up, man. Because I know that I'm in that battle with myself, and I feel as if that there are a great deal of people out there that are going to be watching this and going to say, "No, I'm doing that right now." Especially as we deal with the highlight reel, that is social media. We see, oh, hey, another milestone reached,
Come
it's
on, man.
posted. Oh
Come
man,
on.
another thing. Oh, I just elevated this. Oh, I just got these new customers. Oh, I just got another degree. Oh, I just got married. You see that,
It's the
hey,
online, it's a bully. It's tearing us up, Jack. It's tearing us up.
and we just getting killed. Oh, oh man, hold on. Before we even continue,
Mhm.
let me talk to you about something.
Go for it.
You picked an amazing song, Raid by MF Doom.
Oh,
And
man.
dog, I was I was like, it ain't no way. Cause the last time I heard this song was back when I was watching the Boondocks some years back.
Mhm.
And I just kept it. So you had me like really spinning it back again and again and again.
Yeah.
So I just want to tell you thank you for that real fast.
Yeah, man. It's so good, to hear. Like I said, man, I love the creative arts, bro. And any way I can
Right.
put it in there. But yeah, especially I follow indie artists, and underground artists. I mean, an artist like that, like, of course he's world famous, but it's a but
Yeah.
behind it. You got what I mean? Because you have hip
Yeah.
hop fans, and they may not have heard of him before. You know how that go.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the
Mhm.
thing, man. And so I really did I love that. I want to talk to, and speaking of yesterday, I kind of want to speak to a couple of things that I actually have written down because I have not even touched any of these questions yet.
Go for it.
uh, Becoming the you of today, it's often noted that you have, it takes separation from the you of yesterday, right?
Mhm.
Talk to us about the process of separation and what traits denote the person that we're seeing today.
Oh man, that's a very straightforward question, actually. Um, COVID started everything, as
Mm,
it did for millions of people.
right.
I went through a divorce during COVID as well. That
Jeez.
also kicked me in my teeth and made me grow up. And then of course during COVID, I became a father too. So I had, along with the world, I had one thing I went through with the world that was life changing, and then I had two other life changing moments happen all within this short time. And so, I can literally say before COVID, even though I was an adult and I was pretty mature, I don't even know who that dude was. And I'm
Mm,
being honest. Those two major life circumstances actually made me do purposeful, hard, exhausting self work. Um, I like who I am now. I have moments, Ezel, like I had one, before I, walked outside of the spot I was at. And I have moments when I'd be like, man, this life is lit right now, man. This is amazing. I actually haven't had to do that a lot before.
mm,
All the amazingness I've experienced, I've had a really, really fun type of life. Um, Life, when I look back on it, it was never like, man, this is great. I can actually say stuff is great now.
yeah.
And I'm very in tune. So I know exactly what my next level looks like. It's 100%. So I was talking about meditation, staying undistracted, staying focused, and my physical fitness. Now,
Mm.
when I overcome those, he said, I'm gonna be a super saiyan. Watch me. When I overcome those three things, I'm a super saiyan. But all jokes aside, I know what my potential looks like. I spend a lot of time with God, so I know what it looks like when I get there. I'm not there yet, but I am where I need to be right now, though. Real happy of it. But I want to emphasize, to you and the listeners, you know, we want to get to these places in life a little bit easier. You shouldn't have to go through a divorce and fatherhood and all the other stuff to wake you. Like I went some really hard stuff
Yeah.
to become more refined. Like I like who I am a lot right now, but I do wish I would have gotten it a little bit easier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I feel you. The pandemic for me was a time of serious self-reflection and growing pains, because right before that was when right prior to it, just literally like right there on the cusp of it, was when I discovered being able to do these interviews, and then I was linked with so many amazing people, and I really feel like this was the path before me because so many things just took place. You know, when you have that feeling of you being on the right path in your life, it seems like, I don't know, it's like something that's inside of your chest that just says, hey, you know what? It's gonna be okay.
That's correct.
Everything is gonna be okay. But there's always this gnawing feeling in the back of your mind that says, well, it's good now, but when is the other shoe gonna, you know?
I feel
I,
that I used to feel that.
right.
I used to. That's a big used to. Um I used to feel that once again with the underdog and achiever mentality because I was so used to something happening,
Yeah.
something happening. That's why I think it's really big, from a cognitive standpoint, to change your whole thought process. Like you literally like thinking from a positive standpoint is truly a thing that's intentional. Like it's intentional, it has to be on purpose. Once again, especially if you feel like you're the type of person that's had to grind for your success. You had to grind for your success and grind for everything you get. You know, you overlooked. If you're coming from that, you have to pause for a moment and really be like, pause. Nah, we got to change our mind. We need to go into this room expecting to win. And
Yes.
so the issue is, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, and some of us never really get there. You know what I'm saying? But like, you're gonna have to really work. I have to do this on a daily basis. I'll slip back. I'll slip back and say. And so what I do now is my positive affirmation. When something happens, I don't care how little it is, I'll literally say, "Why not you? Like, why not you?" I actually say on a regular basis, "Why not you? Why can't you ink this deal? Why can't you do this? Why can't you? Why not you?" And so that's the positive affirmation that I use to not focus on that shoe dropping.
Yes. See, that's that right there. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one. Why not you?
Hmm.
Because man, it seems, because you're right. There's always something, there's always something. But I always try to fight that thought process with the mindset that life was life was made to be challenging, so it would, prune you for the places in which you are supposed to be going,
Hmm.
the spaces that you're supposed to enter. But I'm definitely going to work that why not you into this mindset.
Why not you?
You know, a wise man once said, when your self-worth increases, then your self-boundaries increase.
That's right.
You know who that person would, you wouldn't have know who
Yeah,
that
man.
person would be, right?
Yeah, man.
uh Talk to us about some steps that we can take to increase our self-worth.
Well, the first step, of course, is realizing that you worthy. A lot of folks don't feel worthy, man, and it
Yeah.
comes out in different. It comes out in different ways. Um, comes out, of course, definitely in love. When it's big, it's coming out a lot in the age group of online. mingling. You know what I mean? Do I feel worthy to achieve? Do I feel worthy to make more money? Do I feel worthy to be loved? And see, feeling worthy is important because once you feel worthy, then your worldview will change. You know, tell people your worldview will change, and your worldview will start saying, "Wait a minute, I let people treat me like this. I let this situation do me like this." You'll start questioning stuff. When you don't feel completely worthy, you won't question things the way you should, and your boundaries won't increase. And so it starts with period. Looking in the mirror in the literal sense. As a side note, we was learning something interesting. Most people won't stare in the mirror at themselves. I said most. A lot of people do, but most won't. Most look in the mirror long enough to get themselves together and they go on about their business. But I mean, literally looking at yourself in the mirror in the literal sense and figurative sense and being like, do you feel worthy of everything that you desire in life? Once that happens and you start saying, this is what I'm worthy of, that's when those good boundaries start coming along because you won't allow anything to happen in your life anymore that will not reflect where you want to go.
Right. Oh, you said a word right there.
Yeah, man. But it's funny, man, because you got to understand. Not only am I working on this self, I guess it's kind of like it's a cheat code for me, because not only do I work on myself actively, as a therapist, I get a lot of reflection from clients. You got what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hear so many scenarios, and any good therapist worth their salt, person in the helping profession, we're learning from our clients. You should be at all times. And so, I've been doing this for, a long time now. And, I go into every session, Ezel, saying, okay, what can I hear? What can I learn? How can I help? But I never go into a session saying, I'm about to tell them something. I go in here saying, let me listen so I can make sure I'm giving them what they really need. That's helped me, man. I ain't saying all therapists do that, because I know they don't. I'm saying for those that are really listening, active listening, the way we all should be doing, therapists or not therapy, it'll make you better as a person. It's contagious. You won't have a choice.
Man, so you make me really reconsider going back into trying to figure this out because look, I in my undergrad, I graduated with my major in philosophy and my minor in psychology, and the reason
Mm-hmm.
why was because I really was like, maybe therapy was the way for me, and then life lifed and just
Life.
lifed, but
Mm-hmm.
in there's something that we talked about during Broga that I feel like is worth mentioning here: isolation. That
Mm.
was a topic. Um, I want to dive a little deeper. You know, how do we make this practice healthy for ourselves?
That's a really good question, actually. Um, because you got to have a balance. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, isolation is important um to different people based off of how your personality moves. For instance, as a more introverted person, I need to isolate in order to get my energy back up. If you're a very extroverted person, then you may need to isolate because you're so used to everybody else's energy that you want to be careful that you're not distracted too much. So you need to isolate, for a minute. And so, the introvert may be like, man, I'm bored. I need to get back out here. Nah, you need to hold on for a minute just to make sure, that you aren't missing anything. The problem comes with prolonged isolation, because human beings, even to a little bit, need each other. We just do. Even if it's a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And so I think if you're going to isolate with a purpose. And then while you are isolating with that purpose, then of course from there, find that balance. So like as a prime example, instead of being home more, I planned out my entire summer. The From now to August, everything is planned out. Because I said I need more social balance. I isolate a little too long, and then I feel myself getting depressed. It's a balance. So that's what people need to do. Isolate with intention. That'll be your first step.
That's a solid one. I always thought about isolation as being like for ourselves, the it's necessary, but
Mm-hmm.
in doses, right? Balance. But
Mm-hmm.
I always thought about at what point does it become punishment? Because there's a reason why solitary confinement
That's
is
right.
a thing, right?
That's right.
In prisons and as a form of punishment. So I always that kind of sits with me in my mind. But I wanted to get into a topic that uh, I would say is somewhat. We'll see. Betrayal is the sense of being harmed by the intentional actions or omissions of a trusted person. The most common forms of betrayal are harmful disclosures of confidential information, disloyalty, infidelity, dishonesty. They can be traumatic and cause considerable distress. The effects of betrayal include shock, loss and grief, morbid preoccupation, damaged self esteem, self doubting, and anger. How does one recover from being betrayed by those they once felt close with? And is it okay not to forgive? I want to pause right here before you answer. We're gonna go to a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're gonna get right back into this topic. Commercial.
Where you get your hip hop from? Yeah. What's up? This tribal trigger trench in the building. You already know. Nip, naughty.
Hey, Redman is in the building, of course. Jersey's finest, all about them bars, marijuana smoker. Hey, PSA announcement. I need everybody go support. That's right, support my fucking state, my city. Heritage Hip Hop, a New Jersey media source that celebrates New Jersey hip hop worldwide. Facts. Please subscribe to Heritage Hip Hop on social media. That is Heritage Hip Hop on social media.
What up, y'all, man? It's your boy Do It All, Do Pray Kelly, right here on Heritage Hip Hop, man. Look, man, let me tell you something. Make sure you support Heritage Hip Hop, because without these brothers bringing you hip hop, we're not gonna stay informed, man, the way that we need to stay informed, man. And they're not just giving you hip hop, man. They're giving you the heritage of hip hop, right here, man. Yo, Kareem, I see you. Heritage Hip Hop, man. Let's do it. It ain't nothing like Heritage Hip Hop.
All right, and we are back. Yeah, man, I know that was a long-winded question. If you need me to repeat it, let me know.
One more time, since the commercial.
Okay. How does one recover from being betrayed by those they once felt close with? And is it okay to not forgive?
Cool. I had to deal with this myself. I had some friends who I'd known for years. We're no longer friends, of course. And this is what I've had to do, especially in my moments of struggle with it. Realize that, one, you do need to actively work towards closure, whatever that means for you. You may not get closure through them, because there may be a situation where they may have passed, or it's no way for y'all to talk. There's no reason to talk. It's a million things. So one, you got to find closure for yourself. I know a lot of times people try to force closure, and it doesn't really work. You're going to have to find closure for you. And so deal with it head on, find closure for you. I think it's important to forgive based off of the circumstance. I don't think you should walk around with any illness within you. I think that you should be able to move on. Some horrendous things that people do, when it comes to feeling betrayed. And can you say, I forgive them? I don't know if that's the appropriate word at times. I think I have found closure from the situation. And I'm going to move on. Because the thing we want people to avoid doing is allowing people to take up too much real estate in their brains from another person or situation that's sleeping like a baby. We forget that. We tossing and turning. Trust me, they good. Trust me, they good. No matter what they did. And so a lot of times, that's why I tell my clients a lot of times, nah, you don't need to try to get back at them, because what you think will happen, the satisfaction you think you'll get, you may get it, but it really won't move the needle the way you think it will. It just never does. Life ain't set up that way. You 1 out of 100 times it does. You feel like really justified. Of course, these are big blanket statements. You of course, we still have justice, and some things that matter that are important. But overall, you should find closure and move on. Find closure and move on. Don't get caught up in, should I forgive this person? Forgiveness is irrelevant depending on the situation. Irrelevant. Don't matter if I forgive them or not. I need to find closure and healing for myself. If forgiveness is a part of that, then add it to your closure. That's how you gotta approach it.
That's amazing to hear, because how you see on social media, it's like, well, closure doesn't exist and all this other stuff. But
of course it does.
See, look, go ahead. We need you to make more reels on that one, guy.
That's a good point. I never, it's so much stuff that, when I'm making my reels, it's so much stuff to touch. A lot of the healing stuff, I do need to bring to the front. And I explained it like this to a client last week. Ironically, I told her, I said, I want you to think about your wounds this way. And this is how a lot of people mess up. They separate physical health from mental health. Okay. They're not that different. And so it's super simple. You get into an accident and the doctor has to stitch you back up. But the doctor had to use staples. All right. Years go by. You look at your arm and you see the scar. Well, clearly the scar isn't open anymore. It's healed. That was years ago, but you still see it. And so that's how mental health is. That's how closure is. Like, you got to go ahead and treat that wound, keep it clean, keep working at it, keep it bandaged, make sure the staples come out naturally. Go back to the doctor, such as you'll go back to your therapist, whoever else. Your body, over time, will start doing what it do, healing it. And as the years go by, you'll always sometimes have a scar as a reminder of what happened. But the truth is, it is healed. So that is the absolute metaphor behind how healing is real. Your body healed, and there's a scar there. So your mind can heal too. I ain't say the scar gonna be gone. Of course it'll be there. But you can be healed. Just like your body.
But you full of gems.
Same thing, bro.
You got a bunch of gems. Hey, if for those of y'all in the future that are watching this, run this one back. Trust me on this one. I want to get into this. So as somebody that works in the schools and has to deal with, students who decide to act out of character, this video kind of hit home a little bit. The one where you had 3-way school fights are affecting your child. You mentioned providing a mental health day, and I wonder, what does that look like for a child?
Cool. So, of course, I remember when I was given that tip, I was thinking about, the kids that I see weekly. And the inspiration for doing that video, actually, Ezel, came from one of my teens who literally says to me, man, I really wish I could go to a quieter school because my school feels like you gotta, survive all the time. It's so many fights here, and I'm just trying to learn. I started really thinking about that, and I was like, man, and I know there's nothing new per se, depending on what school you came up in, but it still don't make it right. Like we trying to learn, we trying to chill. I was blessed to have a really good high school career. And I didn't have to deal with a school that had a lot of fights. And so, but some kids are going in defense mode. And so I think if you have a kid who really gets traumatized by just being in the midst of school violence, let alone them being involved, but mental health day has to be intentional though. So it has to, whether it's you as a parent, parents don't have the words, they need a therapist or a mentor or someone to intentionally talk to them about their emotions that are associated with the fight or the trauma they've witnessed. And that needs to be the day of reflection for them to not worry about it for a moment. Kids need a break from that environment at times. Depending on their age, I know it's difficult for a lot of parents, but if it's possible, they definitely need a mental health break that will be intentional. Everything's intentional. So it's not like take out school and do whatever you want to do. Yeah, but we're doing this because I want to have this conversation with you first about what you've experienced. So tomorrow you won't have to go to school because I know you need a day based off of what we talked about and how it's affecting you. That's how it will go.
Absolutely. See, that right there is something that I feel like all parents need, um, especially for kids at different stages in life, man. I want to make sure that my son is the most healthy, mentally healthy child, Um, I know I can't control that because I can only control my actions and the things that I present to him, but the world will do what the world does, you know. But hopefully I'll be able to guide him. And if anything, I'll send him to his Uncle Cleveland.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Sure. Appreciate it too, because I will send it to you. Okay, random. When was the last time you cried?
A month ago, I was listening to Al Jarreau. It's one of my favorite songs, and it's super weird. So you know how you can be taken back to a memory and it just catches you off guard?
Yeah.
And so I was sitting on my couch in my front room. Because I'm not necessarily a crier. I may feel emotional. I usually feel emotional around my daughter. I'll have and you probably experienced this when you're looking at your, like I'll be looking at my daughter one day, and I'll be like, yeah,
I'm like,
it's
oh my God.
Listen,
oh my God, I love you so much.
As a dad, for the dads, that's why, when I do work with men or have the moments to speak with men, I be like, I know you're not used to touching those emotions, but you're missing out. I'm grown now, so like I cry like a baby. I don't give a freak. It's my eyes. So you know what I'm saying? Like I'm grown. And so, and but for those of us men who, don't mind tapping in, especially with our kids, it's you know what I'm talking about. It's the moment. I was looking at my daughter, I think it was a couple of days ago. I was looking at her and I was like, whoa, what's that feeling coming over me? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I was listening to Al Jarreau, and Al Jarreau, I've always been around music. And so or Al Jarreau Morgan was on, and I was sitting in my front room. It was about 8 or 9 at night. Lights was off. Sometimes I just be in there just vibing. I don't want to turn on the TV. I turn on music and just vibe till I get sleepy.
Right.
And it took me back to a really good time. It took me back to a really good time. And that moment was a tearjerker. And like I told you a minute ago, life is super good right now. And so just a combination of life being really, really good right now. And when I first heard that song as a shorty, you living carefree then.
Yeah.
And I was in my light, soft vibe and meditation mode. So it was just a perfect storm to have an emotional moment. And I remember I said, and so it was a cry, but it was like, it wasn't, wasn't a sad cry. I usually don't have sad cries. My only time I get sad, Ezel, tears ain't coming out. I get mad or frustrated. Happiness actually makes me cry.
Makes you cry. That's so.
Happiness. I'm a happiness crier. And so yeah, it was a perfect moment. So that's the last time I cried. A month ago, listening to Aldro. It was a good. It was a trigger. That's the actual word. It triggered me to a very good place.
Damn. I'm glad it was a happy cry. I really am. I want to get into the goal of the show. You know, why I do this, and that is philanthropy. Garnering support from the audience and putting it towards a charity or nonprofit that you care about. What charity or nonprofit would you like to spotlight today? Give a shout out to, and why is the cause that it faces so important to you?
Now I know the producer, like I said, asked about my nonprofit. So, the Robert Niles Foundation started back in 2020, and as of last year, we have now begun to give scholarships. Now, since 2019, before our 501c3 status, I started charitable work with the DFW HBCU 5K. That's like my baby, and so I've had it for 4 years. And they do a really, really big one there in DC, HBCU 5K, as well as in Atlanta. That's where I got the idea from when I moved here from Atlanta. And so Robert Niles Foundation, man, we focus on 3 things, community development, mental health, and HBCU awareness. And so the HBCU component is the 5K. 100% of proceeds from that 5K goes to scholarships every single year. That's been a blessing. Giving kids scholarships. It's called the DFW Alumni Heritage Scholarship. So we're giving that out every year. And then, of course, the other part of it is like the community development, social justice portion of it. And so we gave our second scholarship out on Tuesday last year. So once a year, we give out the Samuel Shepard Scholarship. Samuel Shepard was one of the Groveland Four, came out last year. The Groveland Four was a group of young men who were killed back in the 40s by Lewis McCall, who was a very racist sheriff in Florida back in those days. And they were wrongly accused of raping a white woman. And they were exonerated in the state of Florida by the governor. As much as I know the governor, DeSantis, catches a lot of flack because of his political actions in Florida. But he actually signed a paper to exonerate these 4 black men. And Samuel Shepard is my cousin, second cousin. And so we started that scholarship, and we award it every year. Now, this is the second year, to a deserving high school student from Lake County, who's involved in Lake County schools, who has an interest in going into law. And so last year we got a really, really amazing press last year for that. So when you Google the Samuel Shepard Scholarship, his name is Denko Bryant. You'll see me his picture there. We made national news last year, and this year, Maat, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She went East Ridge High School. And so, man, giving is the thing. That's why with the 5K, I don't get any money from it. Nobody does. We front all the cost for the 5K, and all the proceeds go to those kids. And for the Samuel Shepard Scholarship, of course, we front the cost for that, as well. And so, man, it's just been a blessing to be a giver. Once again, everything goes around youth, and a lot of times it don't even be intentional. We come up with the idea, or I may come up with the idea, and by the time the idea is over, I'm like, oh, something else going to kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just, so you just kind of embrace where your heart goes.
Absolutely. So, man, I appreciate you mentioning this. This is amazing. What you do is absolutely amazing. You are a blessing to the community, sincerely speaking. And hopefully those who are on the sound of our voice, they'll be so inspired by everything which you mentioned inside the interview that they donate not only their time, but their energy, their efforts as well. And even if they want to donate monetarily, they shall do that, because like I said, everything in which you've spoken on this platform has just been something that has really enhanced not only my life, but I feel like will enhance my audience, once
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
I only have I want to say thank you again for your time, your energy, your effort, for coming, for being here this evening. Before we close out, we always like to leave words of wisdom for the next generation. So what words of wisdom would you have for those who struggle with self-reflection?
Very, very well. Go somewhere quiet without distractions. That's my word this year, distractions. And so I do my last post on Friday were 3 things I do on Friday, and reflection was the first word I did. So if you're trying to do self-reflection, then you got to get away from the distractions. It's super simple. In life, most of achievement is pretty simple. Distraction, meaning you got to put your phone down, meaning and not just social media, meaning telling your people, yo, I can't answer my phone for the next hour. Setting yourself apart. So getting rid of distractions for a period of time is what's going to allow you to start reflecting. Gotta get rid of distractions.
Amen to that. Before thank you again for joining us. How can we follow you? How can we support you?
Cool. A Real Soul Ambassador everywhere. That's where you'll find me. A Real Soul Ambassador. So definitely follow me. You won't be disappointed for what you're going in looking for, which is going to always be wellness and creativity, and just a lot of positive energy. But it's not just motivational. And I guess Ezel can definitely attest to this. I'm gonna give you some tangible things to gnaw on and chew on. That'll be step-by-step things within a 60-second reel for you, hopefully, that you kind of take with you throughout the day. So a Real Soul Ambassador, check me out. Mental health, music, creativity, that's a place for it.
Absolutely. My brother, thank you again so much for joining us this evening. You guys can definitely follow me at Ezel Moon _. This was another amazing interview. If you I can't wait for the next one. That's gonna be in person. We're gonna have to set that one up, but I'm gonna definitely hit you about that one. You already know. I would love to have you back on. I'm Ezel Moon, and I'm not doing it unless it's fun and it helps people. Peace.
Peace.